Prophet Elijah is one of the most important prophets in the Bible, renowned for his bold faith and miraculous acts. Elijah lived in the northern kingdom of Israel during the 9th century BCE, a time of rampant idolatry and moral decay. King Ahab and his queen, Jezebel, were leading the Israelites away from Yahweh to worship Baal, a Canaanite fertility god. Elijah's first major appearance is when he announces that there will be no rain in Israel except at his word, a judgment from God due to Israel's idolatry. This drought lasted 3.5 years. God commanded ravens to bring Elijah bread and meat while he hid near the brook of Cherith. Elijah stayed with a widow and her son during the drought. Miraculously, her small supply of flour and oil never ran out during this time. When her son died, Elijah prayed, and God raised the boy back to life. One of the most dramatic moments in Elijah's ministry occurred when he challenged the 450 prophets of Baal to a contest on Mount Carmel to prove who the true God was. Baal's prophets failed to summon fire from heaven, but when Elijah prayed, God sent fire that consumed the sacrifice, the altar, and even the water around it. This led the people to declare, "The Lord, He is God," and the false prophets were destroyed. After Jezebel threatened his life for killing the prophets of Baal, Elijah fled in fear. He prayed to God, asking for death. Instead, God comforted him, sent an angel to feed him, and led him to Mount Horeb, Sinai. There, God revealed himself to Elijah, not in a mighty wind, earthquake, or fire, but in a gentle whisper, teaching Elijah about the power of God's presence in quiet moments. After King Ahab and Jezebel orchestrated the murder of Naboth to steal his vineyard, Elijah delivered God's judgment. Ahab's dynasty would be wiped out, and Jezebel would die a violent death. This prophecy was later fulfilled. Elijah's life ended in an extraordinary way. Instead of dying, he was taken up to heaven in a whirlwind, accompanied by a chariot and horses of fire, with his disciple Elisha witnessing the event. Before his departure, Elijah passed his prophetic mantle to Elisha, symbolizing the transfer of authority and responsibility. Elijah's unwavering belief in God's power, even when faced with intense opposition, teaches us the importance of trusting in God's control over every situation. Whether confronting false prophets or relying on God for sustenance during the drought, Elijah demonstrated deep faith that God was in charge. Elijah's boldness in speaking out against King Ahab and Queen Jezebel and challenging the false prophets of Baal shows the importance of standing up for truth, even when it is unpopular or dangerous. In today's world, this lesson encourages us to stand firm in our beliefs, no matter the pressure to conform. Elijah's life was marked by powerful, effective prayers. His prayers stopped and started the rain, raised the dead, and brought fire from heaven. His example shows that prayer is a powerful tool for believers, and it calls us to have faith in the effectiveness of our own prayers. During the drought, Elijah experienced God's miraculous provision, first through ravens and later through the widow's endless supply of flour and oil. This shows that God is able to provide for his people's needs, even in the most challenging and unlikely circumstances. Elijah's moments of despair, especially after fleeing from Jezebel, remind us that even the strongest believers can face moments of fear, exhaustion, and doubt. However, God did not abandon Elijah. Instead, he comforted and strengthened him. This teaches us that it's okay to feel weak, and that God is closest to us when we are at our lowest. While God demonstrated his power dramatically at Mount Carmel, he later revealed himself to Elijah in a gentle whisper. This teaches us that God's presence is not always found in loud or spectacular events. Sometimes he speaks to us in quiet, intimate ways, calling us to listen closely and trust his voice in the stillness. Elijah's mentorship of Elisha shows the importance of passing on knowledge, faith, and responsibilities to the next generation. Elijah prepared Elisha to continue his work, ensuring that God's message would continue after him. This calls us to invest in others, helping them grow in their faith and leadership. Elijah's prophecies of judgment against Ahab and Jezebel demonstrate God's justice against sin. However, when Ahab repented after hearing Elijah's prophecy, God showed mercy and delayed judgment on his family. This shows that while God is just, he is also merciful and willing to forgive those who turn to him in repentance. Elijah's life left a lasting legacy. He was revered in both Jewish and Christian traditions. In the New Testament, Elijah appeared with Moses during the transfiguration of Jesus, symbolizing the fulfillment of the law and the prophets of Christ. Elijah reminds us that a faithful life dedicated to God can have a lasting impact.